Hello and welcome. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you find anything at all in this video that is interesting or that you like, and tell me, I can do more of them. But as the title implies, it really feels like we've been here before, doesn't it? To the Shadowlands, I mean. Well, the truth of the matter is that we've been to the Shadowlands before, and it's quite interesting when you look about it, because the Shadowlands, as everything that was good once upon a time in World of Warcraft, was bound to, be retconned and turn into something horrible. In this case, the Shadowlands turned from what is basically an alternate dimension where the Lich Kings? Yeah, sure, the Lich Kings had their shades to whisper to the Death Knights and corrupt them and convince them of dastardly deeds, such as what we did to the Scarlet Crusade and the Death Knight starting zone. That was nice. No, it wasn't. But note that this place existed before, and we see this place very clearly in the Death Knight starting zone, thanks to one of the Death Knight's biggest friends, Salanar the Horseman. The guy that sends you to tame a Death Charger of Arceus. Because little did many people know, that's the Shadowlands for you. That's it. And one of the biggest problems the Death Knights ever had with the Shadowlands is that the Lich King, or Artis as the Lich King, used the shades from the Shadowlands to whisper into the Death Knight's ears. Why? Well, you can't really let traitors be traitors. You can still convince them to come back. And that really happened with, in fact, Orbaz. And unfortunately, poor Orbaz decided to go back to the Scourge because, it is a better fate than enduring the shades just blasting into your ear the will of the Lich King. It becomes quite maddening. But there's only one example of the Shadowlands and what it used to be before it got retconned into this expansion. Let's also remember that Kolitra has a pretty interesting thing upon Agmar's hammer, in which she travels through the Shadowlands. Now, this might be a little bit unconfirmed, what I'm about to say next, and understandable. Take it with a grain of salt, of course, as I always say. But when you, as a Death Knight, use the Death Portal, the Death Gate, to move from one place to Arceus, there is a space in between. Now, for those of you that have watched X-Men Evolution, there was one episode in which they tried to find out what's between the spaces that Nightcrawler travels through. Like, how does it work? And they go through this dimension thing that has monsters and other stuff in it. Well, my theory is that by using the Death Gate, the 2 points between the Death Gate is really another point of the Shadowlands. The old Shadowlands. The Shadowlands acted more as an alternative dimension. A good way to represent this is akin to the Emerald Dream. Because that's what the Shadowland was. It was basically the Emerald Dream. But not really the Emerald Dream of Ysera and the one created by, let's say, Elune in this point. Why not? Let's just say Elune. I know it's not Elune, it's Freya and something, but I'm not getting into Titanic constructions and creations. And we can see another interesting thing in the expansion known as the Shadowlands, Ardenweald. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ardenweald. Whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Ardenweald, we do learn something interesting, though it is a bit more visual. And that is basically the Ardenweald is like everything the Emerald Dream should really be like. It's basically the Emerald Dream. It's what the Emerald Dream was supposed to be. But, of course, the Ardenweald is more inspired by the Emerald Dream rather than, it being retconned like the Shadowlands was. So there is a point of discussion there on how much is it. Well, since we know Elune comes and she's apparently somehow sister with the Winter Queen, which doesn't make any sense. Maybe initially it did in the beginning in Arafi, whatever, the Arabs guy story. But I think they've changed stuff along the road. They've always changed stuff down the road when it comes to expansions. And that's how it happened. I don't think the Eternals or whatever should have been 3D printed robots. But it happened. And I think Ardenwell was more supposed to be the Emerald Dream than we really want to know. Though now it looks to be more inspired by the Emerald Dream than it being really the Emerald Dream itself. Now, the Shadowlands has been retconned into this, but we as players and supposedly as characters know of its existence since Wrath of the Lich King, and if my memory still serves, note that this time around I am just memory holding stuff, pulling things out of my memory. The Valkyrs did say that they dwell in the Shadowlands, and yet they had no recollection of what a Kyrian is. In fact, the Kyrian are the inspiration for the Valkyr later on, because that's how Odin loses his eye to Merzala, and he learns how the Kyrian look like and decides, yeah, I'm gonna have a race of warriors that looks just like that. Many things changed about the Shadowlands. It has been retconned, it has took inspiration from current lore. It has made some things making no sense at all, and some things are being held with a very thin thread that's just about to break. But as I said before, we knew about the Shadowlands, and surprisingly, now that I think about it, yeah, it makes sense that they turn into an expansion at this point. We've been here before, haven't we? Again, I'm gonna have to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe so we can boost this channel up a little. That would help me a lot. Thank you very much, and see you again.